Najbrojniji su nam gosti iz Niša. Tu su Vrščani. Zatim gosti iz Leskovca koji imaju magičnu devojku koja sama sebe izvukla tamo za putovanje u Brisel. I naravno domaćini iz Beograda. Onima koji su ovde na kratko danas u Beogradu želim da se lepo provedete, da saznate mnogo toga korisnog i nadam se da će biti prilike da ponovo dođete u EU Infocentar. A za početak ću vam u jednoj kratkoj prezentaciji predstaviti šta je u stvari EU Infocentar i čime se on se bavi. EU Infocentar je otvoren u maju 2011. godine i nudi informacije o Evropi, odgovore na veliki broj pitanja, kao i sve što može da vas interesuje i sve vas i građane Srbije o Evropskoj uniji. Za vas srednjoškolce veoma je važne su informacije o mogućem studiranju u državama Evropske unije, ali i informacije kako uopšte funkcioniše Evropska unija, sve druge teme koje ste možda pročitali u vašem primjerku Evropskog dnevnika. EU Infocentar je otvoren za organizovane i grupne posete, a organizuje seminare, radionice, tribine, konferencije, veliki broj događaja vezanih za značajne međunarodne datume, kulturne manifestacije, izložbe radova sa sadržajem vezanim za Evropsku uniju. Jednom rečju približava Srbiju i Evropu. U EU Infocentru dostupne su vam sve knjige i publikacije o svim institucijama Evropske unije i evropskim integracijama i to su knjige na srpskom i na engleskom, ali i ostalim jezicima Evropske unije. Knjige i publikacije na različite teme možete čitati i u prostorijama ovde EU Infocentra, ali ih možete i besplatno preuzeti. Možete ih preuzeti preko računara koji su ovde u našem EU Infocentru, ali i preko vašeg, tako što ćete putem sajta bookshop.europa.eu knjige i publikacije, sve koje se nalaze u toj Evropskoj biblioteci, možete poručiti i one će vam besplatno stići na vašu kućnu adresu. U EU Infocentru možete potražiti informacije radnim danima od 10 do 19, a subotom od 10 do 15. Možete postaviti sva pitanja vezana za Evropsku uniju koja vas interesuju, a možete doći, možete pozvati telefonom ili poslati mailom pitanje. Ukoliko na to pitanje odmah nemamo odgovor, mi ga prosleđujemo delegaciji Evropske unije sa ciljem da se dobiju odgovori na sva postavljena pitanja u što kraćem roku. U EU Infocentru također možete se besplatno služiti našim računarima i pretraživati sve informacije o Evropskoj uniji, ali i pronaći informacije i zanimljivosti koje vas interesuju. U EU Infocentru redovno pristižu svakog dana sva najnovija izdanja domaće i strane štampe. Tako možete dobiti neke dnevne novine, nedeljne ili mesečne. Organizujemo i edukacije, a u toku je obuka penzionera za korišćenje računara. Tako ako vidite sad penzionere na Facebooku, znate da smo mi krivi. EU Infocentar inače organizuje i predavanja, debate kao što je jedna ova danas i konferencije o Evropskoj uniji i njenim aktivnostima. Od opštih uvoda u oblast Evropske unije do prezentacije aktualnih tema. Za mlade naravno ima najviše tema jer učenike, studente i omladinu najviše zanima njihova budućnost, a time i veza Srbije i Evropske unije. Koristimo vrlo aktivno sve socijalne mreže, aktivni smo na Facebooku, imamo veliki broj prijatelja i oko 4000 lajkova na našoj strani. Organizujemo i specifične događaje, kao kod mladih poznate apove, koji imaju za cilj da putem društvenih mreža pokrenu nove teme i oblike komunikacije. U našem prostoru, kao što ste mogli da vidite ispred dok smo izvlačili dobitnike, potencijalne kandidate za put u Brisel, organizujemo izložbe. U toku je konkurs za karikature i stripove na temu Srbije i Evropske unije. Obavezno u maju, tamo kada budu izabrane te najbolje karikature, posjetite naš sajt da vidite ko su dobitnici, a srećnici u Beogradu, Negotinu i Somboru moći će i uživo na izložbama da vide ko su najbolji radovi i najbolje karikature. Pre nekoliko dana, povodom Međunarodnog dana Roma, organizovali smo vrlo uspešnu prezentaciju romske kulture, a 7. aprila nastupile su i dve najpopularnije romske grupe Kal i Grab. Nedavno je bio, to je bilo jako zanimljivo, festival irske kulture i filma, a uskoro od 15. do 19. maja počinje i Evropski festival filma. Cilj je da približimo raznovrsnost kulture Evrope i da promovišemo specifičnosti kulture Srbije, tako da svake godine za Dan Evrope, koje se obeležava 9. maja, uz slogan Evropa otvoreno, organizujemo manifestacije u Beogradu, ali i drugim gradovima. Putem događaja i kampanja koje organizujemo tokom godine promovišemo značajne svetske datume, ali i društveno odgovorno ponašanje, aktivizam, posebno među mladima, zaštitu čovekove okoline i brigu o prirodi i pravim vrednostima. U nedelji mobilnosti u septembru organizujemo veliki broj akcija, uključujemo se u akcije u pomoći kulture, nauke, školstva, sporta i zdravlja. Evo, reći ću vam da su Beogradski maraton, Noć istraživača, Beogradski festival igre i mnoge druge manifestacije realizovane upravo uz pomoć veliku podršku EU Infocentra. Mnogi od vas, ja mislim, čini mi se da sam neke prepoznao, bili su ove godine na najznačajnijoj i najposjećenijoj kulturnoj manifestaciji u Srbiji, a to je Međunarodni sajam knjiga, a ove godine i EU Infocentar imao je značajan nastup na tom Međunarodnom sajmu knjiga. Tokom 7 dana sajma organizovali smo 5 događaja dnevno. Pre podne je bilo za decu nagradno crtanje, onda oni koji su bili sećaju se, imali smo već onaj čuveni kviz za srednjoškolce Zdravo Evropo, promovisali smo knjige izdavačkih kuća Srbije koje su finansirane sredstvima Evropske unije, kao i ostale kulturne programe, Kultura 2007 do 2013, takođe finansirane sredstvima Evropske unije. Oni koji su učestvovali u tom kvizu Zdravo Evropo za srednjoškolce, sećaju se da su pobednici dobili veoma zanimljive, evo klimaju tamo dve devojke, one su dobile one MP3 playere i one lepe poklone. Jedan od projekata kojima se mi možda i najviše ponosimo, to je projekat Delegacije Evropske unije, a to je Evropski dnevnik. Evo sada ću vam reći zašto. Ja sam siguran da je skoro svako od vas dobio taj Evropski dnevnik, s obzirom da ste svi već ovde, a on je inače 4. put izdat u Srbiji u saradnji sa Ministarstvom prosvete, nauke i tehnološkog razvoja i Kancelarije za evropske integracije Vlade Srbije. Ova publikacija nije namenjena samo vama, već i svim učenicima u Evropskoj uniji, tako da u ovom trenutku taj Evropski dnevnik koristi više od 4,5 miliona vršnjaka širom Evrope i to u 27 zemalja Evropske unije, a štampan je, verovali vi ili ne, na 23 jezika. Ono čime se mi izrazito ponosimo, to da je Srbija i dalje jedina zemlja van Evropske unije u kojoj je izdat Evropski dnevnik i čiji će srednjoškolci kroz njegovu upotrebu saznati više o Evropi. A danas, kao što već znate, imat ćete tu čast i mogućnost da razgovarate i da postavljate pitanja njegove ekscelenciji, gospodinu ambasadoru Evropske unije ovde u Beogradu, gospodinu Vincentu Dežeru. Sada ću vam malo približiti ko je gospodin Dežer. Gospodin Dežer je u Srbiji već skoro 4 godine i odlično poznaje naš temperament, to da znate. Zna sve naše običaje i način razmišljanja. Zna i pomalo srpskog, naučio je nekoliko reči, ali ono što ću vam ja otkriti, ja se nisam predstavio na početku, ja se izvinjavam, ja sam Miljan Lićević, inače sportski novinar Prve televizije, a inače veliki prijatelj i saradnik EU Infocentra. To sam sad naglasio zato što ću vam otkriti, ja znam iz poverljivih izvora da je gospodin Dežer strastveni sportista, da je jedan, za koga navija to ne znam, ali da je jedan od najstrastvenijih biciklista u Srbiji, a iz poverljivih izvora saznajemo da će učestvovati na 26. Beogradskom maratonu. Tako da vidite, gospodin Dežer je sve u jednom. Ali pre nego što pozovem gospodina Dežera ovde da se predstavi i da s njim počnete razgovor, da pogledamo jedan video koji traje 2 minuta, a možda će najbolje odgovoriti na jedno od vaših pitanja o Evropskoj uniji.
European Union. Would my life be any different if it didn't exist? Would it be better? Would it be worse? Linking our resources and economies has helped us preserve peace in the European Union for almost 70 years now, something that had never been achieved before. Would this still have been the case if we had not come together? By pooling our resources, we invested in projects for EU citizens, regions, environment, cities, farming and businesses. This means infrastructure, research, education and innovation, and that in turn means jobs. But then again, couldn't my country take care of these things on its own? Well, membership of the EU does mean access to a market of 500 million citizens and a common currency. And a larger market means greater business and trade opportunities, more growth, more goods, more services, more choice for consumers. It also means more opportunities to work and live in other EU countries, not to mention that we can travel without showing a passport within the Schengen area. Still, we live in an increasingly globalized world, And there's no denying that today, large, powerful countries outside the EU are also shaping our future. Can my country really make its voice heard by standing alone on the global stage, especially on important issues such as global warming and global trade? EU countries share the same values and concerns, so it makes sense to stand by each other, to participate in shaping our common future, to discuss the next steps for the EU. What's your view? Make it heard.
Ja sad pozivam njegovu ekscelenciju, ambasadora Vincenta Dežera, da nam se pridruži ovde na sceni, a vas molim da ga pozdravite jednim velikim aplauzom. Pre nego što počnete sa postavljanjem vaših pitanja, gospodin Dežer bi hteo da vam se obrati u jednom kratkom govoru.
Hvala. Dobar dan svima. Dragi učenici i uvaženi profesori, zadovoljstvo mi je da sam danas ovdje u društvu učenika srednjih škola iz Lebana, Rače, Niša, Leskovaca, Vrča i Beograda. Dobrodošli u naš informativni centar Evropske unije i nadam se da ćete prihvatiti moj poziv da otvoreno razgovaramo o današnjoj Evropi, Evropskoj uniji i putu Srbije ka njoj. Otvoren sam za sva vaša pitanja, kao i da čujem od vas kako vi vidite proces integracija Srbije. I dozvolite da nastavim na engleskom jeziku. Thank you. Okay.
Dok gospodin Dežer stavi slušalice, ja ću vas samo obavestiti i uputiti na koji način ćete postavljati pitanja. Ovdje vidite sa strane ova naša 4 volontera, oni kod sebe imaju, mašu, sviru, mašite, molim vas, da vas vide, imaju mobilne mikrofone. Ja bih vas zamolio prvo njih da pozovete i preko mikrofona da uputite pitanje. Slobodno pitajte, rekao sam vam i napolju. Znam da su neka pitanja, sigurno vam rekli profesori da pitate, ali pitajte sve ono što vas interesuje, sve ono što želite da znate, jer od svega toga zavisi i vaša budućnost i budućnost ove zemlje. Evo, izvolite, možete da počnete sa pitanjem.
Thank you. Maybe I say a few words of introduction.
Još samo par reči na engleskom.
No, I'm very happy to be here in Dom Oblanide with young generations of Serbia. It's a good feeling to be here with all of you. We want to discuss European integration of Serbia. What are the challenges? Obviously, we always associate European Union with young generations. That's why we are having our info center here in Dom Oblanine. I think it's a good sign of how we want to move things in the future and build together a better future. Now, to build a better future, we all know that we have difficult challenges that we all have collectively to address. There will be soon 7 billion inhabitants on our planet. In 2050, there will be 9 billion people on our planet living, so that means many challenges to bring food to everybody, challenges to make sure everybody has access to water. It is also challenges of the presence of human being on the planet, meaning climate change. It's a big issue that we need to address. We all know that if it continues, there will be an increase of 2 degrees at least, eventually maybe 6 degrees of increase in the coming 10 or 20 years. So there are huge challenges that we have to face on our planet living together. Now, we can do it in different way, and Europe is participating in this process, of course, in this respect. But we can do it either by single countries doing it, or we can do it collectively. Of course, we believe, and that's what we are trying to do, is if Europe is able to speak with one voice, if Europe is representing, as you saw it on the video just before, 500 million people, it is stronger and it is much more heard by the other players. Is it America? Is it Russia? Is it China? China, as you know, is 1.4 billion people living there. India is more than 1 billion inhabitants on the planet. So if we Europeans want to be able to make our voice heard next to the others, we can do it either individually. France, 66 million inhabitants, Germany, 80 million inhabitants, Serbia, 7.2 million inhabitants. But I'm sure that if we are able to bring our voices together, we are stronger and we can play a bigger role. And we can also defend our trade interest, our energy interest, and work together to build a better future for us and future generations. So I think this is a challenge. As you could see on the video as well, we are pointing to Europe is there to try to bring peace, stability, and democracy on our continent. This is basically what we are been trying to do over the last 60 years, and I think we've been achieving it. Is it evident? No, peace is not evident. You are watching the news every day. Afghanistan, Iraq, Mali, Somalia, other places. It's clear that we are living in a world which is, on one side, reducing because we can travel much more easily everywhere, but on the other side, the risks and challenges, in a way, are coming closer to us as well. So I think there is a dimension here of peace and stability that we have to take into account as well in this overall context. Stability, as I mentioned before, is also important. We've seen democratization process in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Libya that took place recently, overthrowing the dictatorship that were ruling these countries before. But new democracy means also difficult challenges. How to establish these democracies, how to consolidate it. It's sometimes difficult, and you see the situation today. Economy is going down, and tourism is going down in these countries, and that makes the challenge more difficult as well for these countries. So we in Europe are living surrounded by a number of risks, of challenges that we have to tackle, and we believe that we can tackle these challenges better if we are working together on these different issues. We also have trade relations, of course, with the rest of the planet. We are buying gas from Russia, obviously, because it's a big source of producing of gas here in the planet. What price do we pay? If we buy large quantity of gas from Russia, we are, of course, in a better bargaining situation with our Russian partners in this respect, and we can hope to have better prices for the gas that we are buying. And I'm sure you followed the news recently. I think Serbia was paying quite a high price for a number of years. Now they renegotiated and they managed to reduce the price, but still paying more than some of our member states are paying today for that same gas issue. So it's important there also to look at possible diversification. You can have different producers of gas. Gas can come from Russia, it can come from Asia, it can come from Algeria and other places. So it's important also to think about diversifying your sources of supply so that you can get better deals and make better bargaining with your partners, energy partners, in this overall context. So this is, I think, what I wanted to say in introduction briefly about the European Union itself. Why should Serbia join the European Union? And then next question, what is in there for the European Union to have Serbia joining the Union itself? First, on Serbia's side, clearly we see three major issues there. First of all, for Serbia to consolidate its democracy and to bring, it was said it's the year of citizens, is to have better services and better democracy for citizens here in Serbia. It means better judiciary, it means better fight against corruption, it means more performing public administrations. Those are the issues that Serbia needs to tackle. It means also better capacity for the economy. It means that the Serbian companies can access a market of 500 million consumers. Of course, at the same time, it's the challenge for Serbia and Serbian companies. They have to be more competitive on the market. But today, you cannot live in isolation. This is not possible. Today, markets are open. We have competition from Russia, we have competition from China, from Brazil, from other places, and we have to adapt and we have to modernize. And it's not by closing borders that you can modernize your country and make it develop. The third element, which is important, I believe, for Serbia, is also what we call the usual standards, European standards, having better standards in education. Of course, you are all interested to have higher standards in education, better services in the schools, better equipment, better curricula, and curricula which will offer you jobs for the future. This is, I think, the key dimension that is there. But also, it means other standards like better air quality. I don't know if some of you are swimming in the Danube or in the Sava River from time to time. I'm doing it, and okay, it's fine. But I'm also cleaning the Ada River from time to time when I'm going with my friends who are divers also there, and we pick up all the let's say the garbage that is on the bottom of the river there, and there's quite a lot of garbage. And as you know, all the wastewater from Novi Sad and all the wastewater from Belgrade actually are going into the Danube almost without proper treatment. So that's a problem, obviously. Quality of water, I think, is an issue that we need to address. Some of you are from Leskovac. I think I heard from the school of Leskovac. As you know, we are building at the moment, together with the authorities there, the mayors, and we are building a wastewater treatment plant, treatment plant, actually, to avoid that all the wastewater goes into the river, but is treated before, so that only clean water then is going into the river afterwards. So I think these are direct issues which are, I believe, of interest for you who are living here in the various places. What's in there for the European Union? Well, what's the interest of the European Union? As I said, it's very clearly to have peace on the continent, which is something we have been achieving in Europe. Something else is stability that we want to have. When I'm talking about stability, it's stability in the whole of the region here. I'm not just talking about Serbia. We want to have stability and good relations between Serbia and Croatia. For instance, I was 4 years in Croatia, so I think this is extremely important. Of course, we also want to have stability, and I come to that problem later on. That's why we're insisting on the normalization of the relation between Serbia and Kosovo, between Belgrade and Pristina, as we said. We want to see that there are peaceful relations which are established so that everybody can live on the territory in harmony and in peace relations in this context. At the end of the video, you saw there was this couple coming together. Well, joining the EU is a bit like a marriage. That's a good image that you could see. We have to know each other, so it takes a bit of time until we get acquainted to each other. We want to understand and see if we like each other very much. So there's a bit of a process that is taking place there. There's kind of fiançailles, which was the candidate status. We will hopefully open negotiations. And then, once no negotiations are open, we prepare the contract, like in a marriage, you have a contract, marriage contract, and if we come to the end of that process, we sign the contract, and then there's ratification. So you will be probably voting at that time, so we'll be able to express yourself on this issue and decide yes or no, I agree with the contract and I want to join the European Union. So it's a democratic process. I want to say clearly here, there is no fatality in joining. There's no obligation, no fatality to join the European. It's a free decision of every country that has to decide. I want to join or I don't want to join. Or I want to be in or I want to get out. That's also possible now with our rules. So there's nothing is definitive in this respect. But we believe, of course, that the place of Serbia is in the European Union. This is also why we are not leaving Serbia alone. We are helping Serbia. You know that we are giving 200 million of help to Serbia in financial terms. It means over 12 years now, it's 2.4 billion euros that have been invested by the taxpayers of the European Union into Serbia. We have, I would say, at any moment with my staff, we have about 700 projects across the whole of Serbia, in Užice, in Vranje, in Vršac, in everywhere. I think we have projects running across the country on energy, on environment, on public administration, on services to citizens, on energy, on all of these issues. I think we are trying to help Serbia to prepare to these challenges, because I just mentioned the negotiations between Serbia and the European Union. The challenge for Serbia is to adapt its legislation to the legislation of the European Union. Meaning, if you want to join a club of 27, you have to apply the same rules as the other 27. Because if you have 27 different rules, you don't have a single market, you don't have a single currency, you don't have a single Schengen area, and so on and so forth. So everybody has to have the same rules, otherwise it doesn't work, obviously. So this is the difficulty. That's what the negotiations are actually about, and I hope we can start this negotiation very soon. Serbia has made a lot of progress on the EU path over the recent years. You all have seen visa liberalization in 2009. This was a major achievement in this respect. So you can travel freely, so to say, with your passport to the European Union. So I can only invite you, please come, join, learn, travel to the European Union. I hope your professors are organizing study trips and so on to the European Union. So go there, see it, and make up your mind on these issues. I think that's in a nutshell what I wanted to say. Yes, I forgot one other issue. We are now at a moment where we are hoping to open negotiations. There are two elements that needs to be tackled. One is the reform process. Serbia has to continue reforms in judiciary, because you know that your judiciary is not the best performing judiciary that you have. You have a population of 7.2 million inhabitants. You have 6 million cases in front of the courts. Of course, that means extremely slow justice. People are not getting their case treated by the courts. It takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years sometimes to get a decision by the court, and then the court decision is not enforced. So that's another problem that you have. You need to fight corruption. I think some progress have been made in recent months on this issue very clearly. You have to have also a more solid democracy. And this is very difficult, because each time I'm raising this issue in the schools, in the parliament here, in the families, whatever, when I talk about women violence, when I talk about homosexuality, when I talk about discrimination, when I talk about the film Shishanye or these kind of things, it's always difficult. And there's a kind of wall of silence that applies there. And so, no, we don't want to talk about this, because this is something we don't want to hear about. This is something we don't see, and we don't want to hear. I think this is something, very important for the society and for progress in society, to be able to discuss this issue openly. You may be against, you may be in favor, that's no problem. But tolerance is a key value that has to be generating all of that, and to leave violence on the side. Last point, and it's the most difficult point at the moment, you all read the press, you all see the information. Normalization of relation with Pristina and Kosovo is a key issue. 3 years ago, nobody would have thought that the two prime ministers would meet on a regular basis in Brussels every 3 weeks. So in itself, it's already a great achievement. Now we need to consolidate this into a proper agreement, an agreement which will guarantee that all of those which are living in Kosovo, north and south of the Iber, will have security and will have a decent life and be able to have education, health, and so on, which they need and require for the matter. So this is something we are trying to achieve. I hope we will do it. I hope there will be enough willingness and energy to come to that. We will, as EU, try to make the best facilitation for it to happen. And if it happens, it would be a great success for the two parties in this process. Thank you.
Još jednom hvala gospodinu Dežeru. Eto, kao što ste čuli, Evropska unija i Srbija su na putu jednog zaključenja braka. Mi smo izgleda neka mlada koja se sprema za udaju, a kao što znate u svakoj vezi imamo i kriza i lepih trenutaka, ali sad smo izgleda počeli da živimo zajedno i treba da načinimo one glavne korake ka tom braku i nadamo se da će tako i biti. Sada možete vi da postavljate vaša pitanja, još jednom vas podsjećam, možete da pitate sve što želite, nadam se da će ta pitanja biti pristojna. Zamolio bih vas još jednom da pozovete naše volontere, da uzmete mikrofon, da se predstavite i kažete iz koje škole dolazite i postavite pitanje gospodinu Dežeru. Evo, ja otvaram debatu, pa ko želi prvi, neka postavi pitanje. Evo, imamo odavde s ove desne strane, moje desne.
Dobar dan, ja sam Krstić Katarina, medicinska škola Zvezdara. Imam pitanje, zašto Evropska unija postavlja Srbiji preduslov da reši problem Kosova i Metohije kada to nije tražila za Kipar, Irsku i Gibraltar? On nije u Evropskoj uniji ako njega se spore Engleska i Španija koje su članice Evropske unije.
Samo još jedno, znači da kažem, simultani prevod imate u slušalicama, vidim da većina vas ne drži, pa mislim da znate engleski. Tako da.
Well, there are different cases that you raised. Cyprus is not the same as Gibraltar or Ireland, actually, in this matter of principles. What we did in Cyprus is we tried to achieve an agreement between north and south of Cyprus. This was back in 2004. With the help of the UN in this overall process. And just before joining the EU, actually, there was a referendum that took place in Cyprus, where actually both sides, North and South Cyprus, were asked to give their opinion on the agreement that had been on the table at that moment of time. The North said, yes, we would agree with what is on the table. Unfortunately, the South said no, we cannot agree on what is there on the table. Now, this was just 3 days before Cyprus joined the European Union, and indeed, we did not stop the process of having Cyprus joining the European Union at that moment of time. Now, everybody's learning from experiences. Obviously, has this been the right decision? I don't know, but it's a decision that was made at that moment of time. So we are now with this situation, and we will continue to bring the two sides around the table with the help of the UN, and we hope still to come to an agreement on this topic. And as you know, this issue is one of the critical topics in the relationship between the EU and Turkey per se. And if we are not making great progress in our negotiations with Turkey, it's partly because of this issue which has remained unresolved. So I hope that the EU, Cyprus, North, South, and Turkey will continue to work and will continue to achieve an agreement on this topic. Gibraltar and Spain, yes, there is a dispute between the two. The two sides are discussing this issue for a number of years. They have different positions, but there is no conflictual relation in this respect between the two sides. So we don't have objectively a real problem there in the way this issue is treated today. So since this is not generating difficulties, there are other disputes. You will say that Ireland and Northern Ireland with the UK is another case that could be raised. There, I would say also the EU has been trying to bring North Ireland to have the best possible relation with Southern Ireland. And today it is a fact. You had a few years ago incidents in Belfast on a regular basis. Today it's not anymore the case. Why? Because when you join the European Union, these issues of territory, these issues of boundaries which are dividing people become less relevant. So this is in the process, and this is something that is achieved. For for Kosovo and Serbia, we need to come not to a recognition. This is not what we have been asking. We need simply to make sure that people can live a normal life in this context, which is being developed. We have free movement of people, we have free movement of goods, so meaning Serbian products can be sold in Kosovo today. It was not the case at a certain point of time. You know that there was an embargo that was decided in 2011, and this created tensions and problems. So we need to find solution on all of these problems to avoid to import potential conflicts into the European Union. This is quite clear, and this is what we are working on.
Evo, sljedeće pitanje imamo s ove leve strane.
Your Excellency, I'm Kristina Jović from Leskovac. What do you think are the Serbian diplomas respected in European Union countries?
Who is respecting, sorry?
Serbian diplomas.
Diplomats?
Yes, diplomas.
Who do you? Ah, diplomas.
Certificates.
Ah, okay. Well, I know we have some difficulties of recognition of diplomas in the public administrations. I think this is something that I am discussing with Minister Obradovic to make sure that if you go abroad in the European Union, if you get a diploma in London, in Paris, in Wiesbaden or whatever, you can have these diplomas recognized. So this is something that will be happening. If you want to go abroad, you can go with our program of Erasmus Mundus to participate and have scholarships there. I think there are about 600 Serbian students who have already benefited from our Erasmus program to study abroad. The difficulty that is there is nostrification, as we say in this issue, meaning when you acquire certificates in another faculty or university in Europe and you come back to Serbia, you have to have this recognized by the education system here in Serbia. And I had a meeting with Minister Obradovic on this 2 weeks ago because I know there is a problem because sometimes universities here are asking you to repeat some of the exams and of course to pay for these exams again to be completed. So I am discussing and the minister agrees with me that this needs to be changed. I think this needs to be adapted, and he promised to me that he will be dealing with this and find solution with universities here so that if you study abroad for your master, for instance, and you come back here to Serbia, you can have your master recognized by the university system here in Serbia.
Evo još jedno pitanje, tu imam iz Leskovca, tako?
Your Excellency, I'm Mladen Ivanović from Leskovac Medicine School, and I would like to ask you, why is the European Union supporting the independence of Kosovo and separation of our territory if Serbia is a potential member?
Well, we are not, as I say, engaging into this separation or not separation of this issue. Your constitution is saying that Kosovo is part of Serbia, and this is a given fact. On the other side, if you go to Pristina and you look at the Pristina constitution, it will say exactly the opposite, I suppose, to that promise. So what we are asking there is not changes neither here nor in Pristina on this issue. What we are asking is normalization, so that the two sides can agree to live together, agree to have trade relations, agree to have people traveling from one to the other, recognize the diplomas. If a student goes and make studies in Pristina, he comes to get a job here. Until recently, he could not have his diploma recognized. Now he can. So this is something which has been done and has been achieved. If you want to get property back, which you had maybe in Kosovo today, you need to have a cadastre, which is unified cadastre for this issue. So we have an agreement between Belgrade and Pristina on the recognition of the cadastre issue as well. So this is an issue of property which is been resolved. So we have been resolving a number of problems in this context, and this is what we want to do. We are not taking side on one or the other. As you know, we have 22 countries which have recognized Kosovo, to be clear, and we have 5 which have not recognized. So we cannot impose on one side or the other one of the choices. This is for the two, Belgrade and Pristina, to find the way to make a deal, to make a better living together.
Idemo sa sljedećim pitanjem.
Dobar dan.
Može.
Good day. I'm Denis Radaković from Vršac. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I would ask you 2 questions.
Yeah.
What is the best ranked university of economy in Europe?
Oof.
And the second one is, can you ever get the chance to get the scholarship to study there? And
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not so familiar with the Shanghai classification for the different universities. I would say probably you will find at the top of the schools, you will have London School of Economics, probably, which will be quite high on the ranking there. You will have a number of HEC in France, which will be also among the highest graded economic schools in Europe in this context. Bocconi in Italy certainly will be also very high on the agenda. So I think you can send your application to go there. Of course, it costs money. Student scholarships are quite expensive. That's also something which is very important. I forgot to say before, is that when Serbia is a member of the European Union, you as citizens of the EU would be treated like all other citizens of the EU, meaning that you will pay the same price as EU citizens would pay to go to these universities. Because at the moment, when you are treated as a foreigner to the European Union, of course, you have a higher rate to pay to go there to study. So that's another advantage that is there. As I said before, you can apply to the Erasmus system. So there is, I think, documentation in the booklet. You will find it outside here. I think our information center is giving you all the details and information on how to apply to the Erasmus system. Of course, it's only it's 100 per year of scholarships that we are giving on this process. So it's limited. There's a lot of competition between. So you have to be a very good student to get to that process. But it's possible. The other possibilities are to go via the different embassies of the member states of the European Union. So maybe Germany or the UK or France or Italy, whatever, they will offer you they have some bilateral agreement between universities which also allows to welcome students. I know, for instance, for France, but that's more for political science, you can go to Dijon and there are scholarships which are allocated for that matter. For economy, you have to see with our colleagues how this is possible.
Eto, čuli ste, još jednom ću vam ponoviti, ukoliko vas interesuju mnoge informacije, naravno vas na Vlade najviše interesuju informacije o mogućem studiranju u inostranstvu i zemljama Evropske unije. Ovde ispred imamo i štand EU Info centra, gore isto takođe, tako da možete posle debate o svemu da se raspitate. Još jedna informacija za vas, ukoliko vam je lakše da postavite pitanje na srpskom i da se bolje izrazite, slobodno postavite pitanje na srpskom, jer imamo simultani prevod, pa će gospodin Dežer odgovoriti. Evo, vidimo koje je sljedeće pitanje.
Izvolite.
Dobar dan.
Dobar dan.
Zovem se Vesna Dojković, dolazim iz srednje škole Đure Jakšić iz Rače. I zanima me da li bi, kada bi Srbija dobila statut članica Evropske unije, da li bi poboljšale deci lečenje, mislim, u smislu da se odvaje više novca za njihovo lečenje, jer roditelji nisu u mogućnosti da priušte svoj deci lečenje.
Well, I think we're not waiting for Serbia to be part of the EU for that, to be honest. We have equipped, I think, about 20 hospitals with mammographs. so that ladies can, after a certain age, of course, get on a regular screening process for that. Because, for instance, for breast cancer, which is the highest cancer for women here in Serbia, if you detect the problem early, then you can certainly find a solution. If the issue is bigger than 2 centimeters, probably it's often too late actually to surge it. So I think it's very important that there is regular checkups which are done in relation to that. So the equipments are there in the hospitals. We are training the staff as well from the hospitals to use it properly. And with Minister Dukic Dejanovic, we are launching a great awareness campaign to actually bring all the people to go on a regular basis to make these very important checkups for that. It's also true for colorectal cancer, which is another big source of death here in Serbia. So there is issues that are done there. What we are doing also with the hospital is treating the waste of the hospitals, because you know the hospitals have lots of waste. The waste at the moment are going in the landfills without proper treatment. What we want to do is have clear sterilization of all this waste before it is dumped in the dump sites. So this is something that we are doing together. With the structural reforms in the health sector, what we are trying to do as well is to have a system which is, we say, by capitation, meaning when you go to the doctor, that you can choose in Dom Zdravje which doctor you're going to see. And then that the doctors get paid according to the number of clients that they would have accordingly, so that you can have better performing, let's say, doctors in this respect. Those are very difficult structural reform, because everybody wants to have not changes there. Everybody prefer to have same salary for everybody and no difference made. We believe it's good if there is at least some kind of incentive for doctors to perform in a better way. So the ones that are more knowledgeable, better performing, doing better diagnostic, that they would maybe get a little bit of an extra salary at the end of the month. So those are structural reforms that we are doing. The EIB has given a huge loan of some 200 million euros here in Serbia to renovate also the hospitals and clinics, and this is something that we are doing with the EIB, and we have put some 20 million euros in addition to renovate the hospitals and to have better equipment in these places. I didn't answer your question, or what? I see you shaking heads there. What is it?
Mislila sam na to da se otvori neki fond, nešto u kome se skuplja...
Go ahead.
Mislila sam na to da se otvori neki fond u kome bi se skupljao novac za decu. Vi ste pričali o tome kako treba na vreme da otkriju, to je okej, ali mislim da treba da se skuplja novac za decu koje nisu mogućnosti, koje su bolesne, ali nisu mogućnosti da se leče i onda umru nažalost.
Yes, I understand you're talking about these cases of transplant in this respect. I think, of course, when such cases happen, it's good if people can be transported to the place they need to go. I understand there are some difficulties in insurance and who's going to take the risk of transporting these patients to different places. Therefore, okay, I don't know for this specific case. I hope we can find a solution to find some practical funding for that, and also somebody willing to transport. But that shows one thing. It's very important for Serbia to develop its own capacity in transplantation here in Serbia. So it's very important for Serbia to become first part of the Eurotransplant system, meaning that you have access to organs from all over Europe which are available, and that this transplantation can take place here in Serbia. And I hope you have all signed on the donation, because this is an individual decision that you have to make yourself, to say, if I'm dead, I'm ready to give my organs if it can be useful for somebody else to continue life. And this is extremely important, because my son had double transplant, kidney and liver. And I can tell you, as a parent, I was extremely pleased that somebody made a gesture for him to survive today. Thank you.
Hvala.
Your Excellency, my name is Aleksandra Petković. I'm from Medical School Department, Pharmaceutical Technician from Leskovac. Most of us plans to, after high school, enroll in the Faculty of Pharmacy. What is possibility of employing graduated pharmacists in Europe?
Well, if you are not yet a member of the EU, will be difficult. I hope when you complete your studies and you finish these schools, that we can have advanced and that Serbia can join the EU. Then, of course, either you can choose to work here in Serbia and open your own private or public pharmacy. As you know, there are the two systems here applied in Serbia, or eventually with your diplomas, with your recognition, to go abroad. Actually, already today, in some member states, if they don't have enough, which is in the case in the medical field and pharmaceutical field, some of our member states are lacking doctors, are lacking nurses, are probably not lacking also pharmacists. So if they have a need in this respect, they can already open the market eventually to some workers that can come, like you, if you are willing to go to France or to Germany or whatever. This you have to look case by case, country by country, which countries are opening earlier, I would say, the market and welcoming you eventually as a worker there.
First of all, I'd like to greet you and Mr. Milicevic, and thank you for inviting us to this European Info Center.
It's a pleasure.
But let's get on the thing. I'd like to ask you a question about unemployment.
Yes.
For example, when people in my country finish a university, they are still remaining without a workplace. Is that going to change if my country joins the European Union?
Well,
thank you very much.
Thanks for your question. It's a real problem in Serbia. It's not only a problem in Serbia. It's also a problem in Spain. It's also a problem in Greece today. It's also a problem to some extent in Ireland. So youth unemployment is one of unemployment in general, but youth unemployment in particular, I would say, is a very difficult issue. That brings me back to what I said before. We need, first of all, to be confident, because what I feel sometimes is we are all looking at worried, we are all making dramas about issues. No, let's leave the drama on the side, and let's be a little bit more optimistic on our own capacity and be confident on what we are able to do together. I think this is something that needs to be changed first. Second issue, we need to reform our economies. It's very clear that in a number of member states, we have been living on credit. And if you are a family, you know you cannot live on credit forever. I mean, this is just impossible. So unfortunately, we have let the debts grow, the deficit have been growing too fast, and today we have to pay the price for these policies that have been done in the past. So what we need to do is first to lower our debts progressively, not too fast, because otherwise we have a loss in growth, and this is a problem. We need to lower our debts. We need to adapt to these new realities, and we need to bring innovation and focus on new growth potential. In Serbia, you have lots of potential in this country. No, it's true. I mean, look at agriculture. It's a huge potential. You have a huge growth in exports of your agricultural products. If I take just the EU, you have been doubling your surplus of exports to the EU within the last 2 years. So there is a lot of, and you can do certainly much more and much better in that context. Okay, Fiat, everybody knows about the automobile industry, but there's a real knowledge and potential in Serbia on these issues. Mathematics or informatics issues. I was at the University of Novi Sad a few weeks ago, met with the rector. They have a huge potential there in terms of growth. There is a company that started with, I don't know, 10, 15 engineers. Today there are 400 there, and they have a growth rate, and they're hoping to be 4,000 in the coming years. So I think there are huge capacities, huge knowledge here in Serbia. What we need to do is to make the environment more business friendly, so that people that want to open businesses can do it. We need also to maybe attract more investments. I'm not only talking about foreign investment. I think sometimes it's very good that you have local investment, domestic investment, because these domestic investments will stay here forever, to say, in Serbia. So it's very important to work on that. It's also important to reform the education system, because sometimes you have curricula which is still existing here in Serbia, which are very old-fashioned, I would say, and not adapted to the new realities of the world. So looking at new jobs, new potentials in this respect. And this is a change that needs to be done also in the education system. So we have to match education with the request and expectation of the industries and of the new economic development. Environment is another field, or energy are other fields where Serbia has huge potential and which can be growing. So there's no miracle solution, sorry to say that. It's not going to come as a miracle solution. We have to work on this issue very, very, very seriously, and we have to restore growth and confidence. This is the primary issue.
Idemo dalje.
Dobar dan, ja sam Todorović Anđela iz Pravno-poslovne škole iz Niša i pretpostavljam da ste upoznati sa reformom pravosuđa od pre par godina i zanima me šta mislite o stranačkom zapošljavanju. Da li treba da ponovim pitanje? Do I have to repeat?
No, I understood.
You understood me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Torora. Well, judiciary is a real, as I said before, it's a real problem, the way it's functioning. But the first problem in the judiciary is independence. If you want to have impartial justice, you need to have independent judges and prosecutors. And this is something which is not, unfortunately, the case here yet, I would say, generally speaking, here in Serbia. There's a lot of interferences of the government, of the parliament. The parliament is nominating the judges and prosecutors, for example. And this is something which makes political parties having lots of influence on who is going to be nominated, who is going to enter the profession of judges and prosecutors, who is going to be promoted in what court, and so on and so forth. So there's a need to change that system. So there's a new reform now on the table. I hope the Minister Selakovic will take on board all the good recommendations, all the good advices giving to him, because it's critical. The previous reform failed. It failed, I wouldn't say completely, but substantially in that context. So they really need to change that. The Constitutional Court has cancelled all the elections of judges that took place 3 years ago, and this has put the whole system in disarray. So they need to rebuild a proper system, and they need to ensure independence. That's the first critical issue there. One of the solutions, notably, it's not the only one, but one of the solutions is to have a single entry point in the career, meaning the Judicial Academy should be the only system to enter the profession. At least that's what we think in this respect. That not that you enter as becoming stagiaire and then court advisor, be selected by whom I don't know, how I don't know either, on which criteria I don't know either. I mean, these elements have to change, and to build a proper merit-based and transparent system for recruitment of judges and prosecutors, and also for the promotions afterwards. Did that answer your question? Okay. Good. Drugi pitanje. Ani.
Dobar dan, ja sam Miloš Savković, dolazim iz Rače, srednja škola Đuro Jakšić.
Wait, okay.
Yeah. Imam pitanje, da li Srbija gubi nešto ulaskom u Evropsku uniju, i ako gubi, šta to? Ma ne,
Well, it's a good question. It's a very serious question. You're right to ask it. First, there is a reality and myth on this issue. On the myth, I would say, generally speaking, people say, we're going to lose our tradition. We're going to lose our habits in the... I don't know if you're traveling. I don't know if you're going to Portugal or to Austria, which is closer. I don't feel today that Portuguese are less Portuguese since they joined the EU, or Austrians less Austrians since they joined the EU than before. Actually, they continue. They have their languages. They have their traditions. I think on this basis, nothing has changed. On the contrary, in a sense, their language is recognized as an official language of the European Union. It's used, it's promoted, and so on and so forth. Even regional languages are properly protected also within the context of the European Union. So there is a lot of myth on this issue and prejudices on the issue of traditions and things. Can I produce rakia still? Can I continue to eat cheese and so on and so forth? I mean, these are myths that are not applying simply. It's true, on the other hand, that you have to have standards. Meaning, when you're producing your cheese, when you're producing your rakia or things, you have to apply a number of clear standards. Because if your products are exported to the European Union, we want to make sure that these products are safe in terms of food safety in this regard. Now, there are different rules and elements there. If you're selling on a local market, there's a tolerance, let's say, that the product continues to be done as it was done traditionally before. But if you want to export to the rest of the Union, you have to comply with the rules and regulation, traceability, quality, and so on and so forth. So there are a number of reality there and changes. The real issue, and this is a very difficult one for Serbia, I don't think it's a loss, but it's a change. It means that as much as Serbian companies can access the European market, they can already do it today, because we have an interim agreement that is in force. So your products can enter without restrictions the European Union and without taxes nor customs duties. So they can enter. That's one thing. But it's a two-way street. It means also that the EU products can enter the Serbian market. It's not in the same way, meaning our products can enter after a gradual process of 6 years. So we are dismantling the trade barriers, as we say, over 6 years. But now it will be in force from next year and the year after, depending on the products. So it means that the Serbian company will face a more competitive environment. So they will have to be more competitive and able to resist competition from the rest of the companies of the European Union. So that's for me a very difficult challenge for Serbia. So they have to prepare for that issue. They receive support for that, they receive assistance from the government authorities and so on and so forth, but it's a real challenge to do that. Is there an alternative? I don't think there's an alternative. Because if you want your products to be exported, you have to accept also that the others are able to sell on your own market. And today, in the globalized world, you cannot live anymore in isolation and close your market and try to live in autarky in this respect. That's not modern life. You need really open your borders, open your markets, and be more competitive. You need to be innovative. You need to be good managers doing this well. And then you can survive. But that's a challenge. It's a challenge for Serbia. So there's nothing really to lose in this respect, but it's something to do and to prepare for. Može? Okay.
Evo imamo sljedeće pitanje ovdje.
Good afternoon. I'm Ksenija Miljković from Medical School Leskovac. And I would like to ask you what changes will be made in Serbia if we become a part of the European Union? I mean, some huge changes or...
No, there are huge changes to be done. To be honest, I'm not going to say, I'm going to hide this here. I talked about the reforms. I talked very rapidly about the reforms. There are two blocks of reforms that are very critical. The first block is what we call rule of law and democracy reforms. This is justice. I answered Theodora on the justice reform before. We have fight against corruption, organized crime. This is something that has to be done, has to be implemented properly. We have problems in the EU. I'm not saying the EU is perfect on these issues, but if you look at the rating by Transparency International, for example, which makes a rating of the country, you will see that Serbia is way down on the list. And of course, this is something that has to change in the future. And also in the interest of the taxpayers here of Serbia. If public funds are not properly used and they end up in places we don't need to see them ending up in pockets of people that shouldn't benefit from that, it's not good. It's not good. And I think it was estimated that about 800 million of euros per year are lost due to corruption and fraud here in Serbia. So it's a huge amount of money, and this you cannot afford. So this needs to change, and this has to be put into the right track. Public administration reform. You need to reform the public administration. The administration needs to be better performing, needs to have clearer rules. They cannot be discretionary power. If you go in one place, they say you one thing, you go to the other place, they say you something different. No, I mean, the administration has to be well-performing, and the rules have to be the same for everyone in this context. Another big reform is the media. You know, in Serbia, you have 100 televisions, 200 radios, 500 newspapers. I mean, when you hear that, you just say, is it possible? Who's paying for all that? How does it work? Who does it belong to? Who has ownership on these medias? These are questions that needs to be addressed. And there is a media strategy since 2011. There are 2 laws now going to Parliament in the coming weeks, which will regulate this process further. So that's a very important reform as well that needs to be put in place. The other block of reform is the economic reform. A number of things were done recently to consolidate the fiscal situation of Serbia, reduce the deficit, reduce the debt. This is good, but it's not enough. You have companies which are living from your money. I mean, and to be clear, they are receiving taxpayers' money for years. Galenica, Yacht, Serbia Gas, EPS to some extent, because EPS has a problem of having 1 billion euros of non-paid bills. People are not paying their electricity bill. 1 billion euros for EPS. Imagine, it's huge. And that links to the problem of justice, because all these cases are in front of justice waiting to be paid, and of course it doesn't happen. So that's a real issue. The other big topic that Serbia needs to address is pensions. Of course, you are 17, you don't care about the pensions maybe today. But the problem is that in Serbia you have 1 pensioner for 1 person active. This is just not sustainable. It cannot work. Normally you have 1 pensioner and 4 people or 3 people active to pay the pension of the one that is on pension, actually. If you have 1 paying for 1, it's just not sustainable. So there are reforms which are needed there, and there are difficult reforms. I'm not saying it's easy. There are different solutions. Make kids, of course, that's one solution. But I mean, seriously, no, that takes a bit of time. But no, the first thing is really to balance this issue of numbers in a better way. Meaning, maybe people, our life expectancy is growing. So we have to accept to work maybe longer than our parents or grandparents used to do in the past, because otherwise it's just not viable, it's just not sustainable. Health reform is another one. The health system is structurally in deficit, so it's structurally 50% of the money of the health fund has to come from the budget, from the taxpayers. This is also not sustainable. So there are reforms in the health sector also that needs to be put in place. Okay, those are, I would say, the most important reforms that needs to be engaged. That means a lot of courage. It means that your politicians have to have a lot of courage, because these reforms are known for the last 10 years. It's nothing new in this context. So somebody at a certain moment of time has to have the courage to say, okay, now we need to do that, and we need to go on with the work and reform this situation. It's something we have done. I myself I was hoping to go on retirement at 60. Now I have to wait for 63 or 64 probably. I hope not more, but we'll see. But that's the reality. Its situation is changing and we have to adapt to these new realities. What about support? Well, I didn't hear you.
In education. Education.
Reform in school. Well, I said already before, there is a need to modernize the school system. There is a need probably to rationalize also the school system, because there are some schools with very limited number of students in some very remote areas. So maybe you need to rationalize this and to make a more viable school system. And you need to modernize the infrastructures, obviously, in this context. We have there is a 200 million euro loans to renovate 21 faculties here in Serbia, all over Serbia, and we have I think 23 million to the equipment of the universities as well. So we are helping Serbia, let's say, to tackle this challenge. But it's a challenge, and ministers have to work on it also, not just look at me. I'm just here to help. They are responsible for it.
Idemo sa sljedećim pitanjem.
Da. Dobar dan. 1 minut. Ok.
Idem u medicinsku školu iz Zvezdara. Imam pitanje da li će Evropska unija podržati kompjuterizaciju i digitalizaciju srednjeg obrazovanja u Srbiji?
I don't know if you can do it in every schools in Serbia. We did it in all of the vocational education training schools. I visited a number of these schools myself, and I saw the equipment there, obviously. If the minister makes the request, we can. As I said, we have 200 million euros available per year for Serbia. We are already, I think, about 63 million of euros we have invested in the education sector over the years. So we are already doing a number of things. If there is need for more, and if the minister makes the request, and if there is money available for that, it's possible that we can finance this. We already did it in a number of schools before. I don't know if it's yours. I haven't seen, but it could be doable. Yes.
Jer imamo još pitanje, evo pitanje gore.
Dobar dan, ja Savić Nikola, dolazim iz Vršca iz srednje škole Nikola Tesla. Imam jedno pitanje, zašto neke zemlje žele da izađu iz Evropske unije kad je to toliko dobro?
Can you give me a name?
Vršac Nikola Tesla.
No, for the moment, nobody has done it, as you know. But it's true, you're right. I mean, we have a new treaty of Lisbon that came into force in 2010, which says that anybody, and I said before, there's no fatality to the European Union. If somebody wants to leave, now there's a procedure and they can decide to leave. I don't know if the UK will decide to leave. First of all, there will be in the UK another referendum at the end of the year about Scotland leaving UK. So we'll see what happens there in this respect. Again, what is important, and it is the motto of our discussion, this year is the year of citizens. It's for citizens of these countries to decide if they feel they want to experience something different, if they want to leave. If they want to leave the UK for Scotland, that's up to them to decide. If the UK itself wants to leave the European Union, it's for them to decide. What I heard from Mr. Cameron is that he doesn't want to leave the EU. He wants to say, we may leave the EU if the EU does not reform itself sufficiently. This is what he has been saying. Now, it's not to him only to dictate his views to the rest of the 26 member states. When you are part of the family, you have to decide together on what you want to do. So Mr. Cameron may have certain ideas, Mr. Merkel other ideas, Mr. Hollande others, I don't know. What is important if they come together and they agree on what they want to do. And if somebody is not agreeing, and if he thinks he wants to do better and differently, then he can leave. But let's see, for the moment, I don't know if the city in London would be so pleased to quit the European Union, for instance, or if you ask the companies in the UK today, most of them will say, no, we want to stay in the European Union because we see lots of benefits to be within the internal market. But one of the problems, which let me also point to that now, it's true that in our member states, in the public opinion, when I go back to France and discuss with my friends or whatever, everybody's asking the question, but why are you enlarging Europe? It's already difficult with the economic crisis for us here. It's also difficult because we have many more robberies. We have many more problems coming to the European Union. We had all these fake asylum seekers recently coming to our countries as well. So what is that? So they want me to explain what is the advantage of having Serbia joining the European Union in this context, because they say if we have more poverties in our cities and more problems to deal with, we are hesitant. You say, yes, you want to extend the peace and stability and democracy and whatever. Yes, but at the end of the day, where I live, I have more problems here and there. So we need also to be able to convince the others that we are on the same boat and we are going to be responsible in driving the process forward. This is what we need to do. And this is not a simple answer to give.
Eto, čuli ste, a još jednom je važno, baš upravo zbog ovog tvog pitanja, ukoliko nas niko ne tera da uđemo u Evropsku uniju, nije nam to moranje. Znači, u Evropsku uniju se ulazi sopstvenom željom, ukoliko želite ili ne želite. A upravo vi ćete za godinu dana ili dve glasati i biti ti koji će odlučivati, a zbog toga morate da upoznate Evropsku uniju i da znate šta ona nudi, da li vam se to dopada ili ne dopada, da li vam se te mogućnosti dopadaju ili ne dopadaju. Zato je važno upravo na ovakvim debatama da postavljate upravo ona pitanja koja vam svakodnevno koriste. Ona pitanja, ne velike politike, veliku politiku će rešavati veliki političari i igrači, ali ona pitanja upravo koja postavljate na ovoj debati, o školi, o lekovima. Upravo je devojka postavila pitanje o fondu, da li će Evropska unija osnovati fond za pomoć bolesnoj deci. A upravo ja sam, evo ovo je moje sopstveno mišljenje, pre par dana razgovarao sa nekim svojim prijateljima upravo oko slučaja Tijane Ognjenović. Da li mislite da li u Srbiji ima 1 milion ljudi koji mogu da izdvoje 500 dinara mesečno za neko? To 500 dinara, to je 5 miliona evra i nikad se ne bi dogodio slučaj Tijane Ognjenović da mi sami od sebe krenemo. To je samo jedna grana. U svakoj grani moramo da krenemo sami od sebe, a Evropska unija je tu da nam pomogne ukoliko želi i ukoliko mi stvarno zaslužujemo da nam pomogne. Tako da krenemo. Zato pitajte slobodno, nastavite sa ovakvim pitanjima, sa pitanjima koja upravo vas interesuju, koja su vam pitanja od svakodnevnog života i značaja. Eto, da imamo sljedeće pitanje.
Ovako, ja sam Marija Milovanović, idem u srednju školu Đure Jakšić i dolazim iz Rače. Htjela bih da postavim pitanje, svakodnevno slušamo o tome kako je ulazak u Evropsku uniju jedino i najbolje rješenje za nas, za naše stanje u državi, a postavlja se pitanje, ako je već jedino i najbolje rješenje, zašto ne rešimo to pitanje ulazak u Evropsku uniju, samim tim što je rješenje da jednostavno da pokušamo da jednostavno
Okay.
Da jednostavno nađemo dogovor i rješenje da uđemo u Evropsku uniju.
Da, to sam htjela da kažem. I drugo pitanje, zašto ljudi koji žive na Kosovu, zašto nekako, dok se ne reši to pitanje rješavanja Srbije u Evropsku uniju, zašto ih ne zaštitimo na neki način? Jer svakodnevno slušamo o tome kako ruše se manastiri, crkve, njihovi spomenici, groblja. Zašto ih ne zaštitimo na neki način dok jednostavno ne dođe do tog krajnjeg pitanja da li ulazimo ili ne ulazimo u Evropsku uniju? Hvala.
Well, your first question on why not tomorrow into the EU, I mean, which would be great. But as I try to explain, there are a number of steps. I was in Croatia for 4 years before coming here to Belgrade. Well, we opened negotiations with Croatia in 2005. And tomorrow, in 1st of July, Croatia is joining the European Union. So it took a bit of time to do it. I tried to explain before, what is the requirements? Okay, we have ICTY, this is now resolved. We had Kosovo, I hope we can resolve it in the coming days, if we work hard enough on this. The other issue is, what I said before is, if you join a club of 27, you have to have the same rules. Unfortunately, today, Serbia has different sets of rules and different regulations and so on and so forth. So there's a need to adapt all the legislation. It's transport, it's environment, it's public procurement, it's freedom of people, it's energy. All of these rules and regulations have to be adopted and have to be changed. But not just changing the law, it's also showing that you are able to apply the laws, that your administration is able to apply the laws properly. And that's why this adaptation takes some time until it happens. So some countries took 3 years, other 5 years to do it. So we have to get going. So that's why it's so important, in a sense, to start the negotiations process, so that really all these adaptations can be moving forward and that the administration is motivated and politicians are motivated to make all these structural changes, which I mentioned before, rapidly and make it for your benefit as soon as possible. So that's what we need to do. It will not happen overnight. But if we are clear on the direction, if we are clear on the objective, I think if we all work hard in that direction, we can speed up the process. And I hope, I'm personally hoping that before I leave Serbia in August of this year, that we can move to the opening of the negotiations, at least on the decision on the date, so that the process can get started, and I can see in a few years' time that, as I saw it in Croatia, Serbia becomes a member, if that's what you decide at the end of the day. Again, that's your decision, as I said before. The other question, you know how many troops of the K4 there are in Kosovo these days? It's huge, the number of troops, and it costs a lot of money. You know that we have ULEX, which is there with about 2,000 policemen and prosecutor and judges working there on a permanent basis. It costs a lot of money to everybody to have these forces there. So they are already there, protecting also the monasteries. There were a number of incidents, as you mentioned before. There was a horrible issue on the graveyards. Once somebody, the gendarmerie here, took away this famous monument in front of the municipality of Preševo, then the reaction immediately in Kosovo was all these attacks on the graveyards. It's very bad. It's very detrimental for everybody. It's bad what happens here, it's bad what happens there. Why is it happening? It's happening because people look more into the past than into the future. And that's the mentality that people have to change. You have to think, we have to build our common future. We are all their neighbors, and we have to move in that direction. And that's what people should do. And stop building symbols, monuments, where you write all the names of the victims and everything. Look I'm not saying you should not, of course, pay respect to what happened in the past. That's not what I'm saying. But you also should be looking into the future and try to build a common future. And then we don't need these security forces anymore. That would be the greatest achievement if there can be agreements and that everybody can live without having K4 present on every doorstep. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Petar Miljković. I come from Niš, Pravno-poslovna škola Niš. And my question is, do you work with company Eco? Because I've looked at your ideas and goals, and they're very similar to each other. So that's my question. Do you work with Eco?
Eco? Who is Eco? I don't know.
Eco is a company for orphans and poor children that don't have...
Okay. Disabled children or children with disabilities?
Yes.
Yes, I think we have, as I said before, we have 700 projects at any moment in Serbia. So I don't know all the details and who is the contractor on these different projects. Yes, we work a lot with every NGOs, civil society organizations here in Serbia that is dealing with social inclusion. And this is a problem of social inclusion, having services for elderly people, having services for disabled children, having this issue of deinstitutionalization, because many children are put into institutes, special institutes, and we try to bring them back into what we call foster families, so that they have a proper family, let's say, environment in which they live, and not in a cold institutions there. So this is something we are doing a lot. I was the other day very pleased because, no, 2 days ago actually, because we had a project with the Incest Trauma Center. You know that incest is a problem sometimes in our societies, not just in Serbia, also in the European Union. There are cases, and only 10% of the cases are detected, actually, because people don't speak about it. I was talking about before the wall of silence. There is also a wall of silence in relation to incest issues here. So I was very happy because the other day, with our project with the Incest Trauma Center, the authorities, the parliament here, changed the law. They changed the law to say if there is a crime, an incest crime committed against a child, this crime is not subject to what we call status limitation. You know that normally if something is done in the 5 years, there needs to be a case brought to the prosecutor. And there they lifted this 5 years term, so there's no limitation. So because if a child is abused at 5 years old, it's not until he's 10 that he can complain about what has been happening to him. It's probably much later when he gets himself adults. So they've lifted that status limitation. I'm very happy that this decision has made. So if there are abuses, then this can be punished, if not immediately, at a later stage. And I hope this will be dissuasive as well, for that matter. Thanks.
Ja sam Miljana Rudinac i idem u školski centar Nikola Tesla iz Vršca. Mi godinama unazad svakodnevno slušamo kako su u Evropskoj uniji veoma niske cene i kako ljudi imaju veoma visoke plate, dok je kod nas obrnuto. Cene su svakodnevno u porastu, a više od polovine naših stanovnika ne živi sa mesečnim primanjima većim od 20.000. Šta će se i u kojoj meri promeniti po tom pitanju?
Yes, I think on the both issues should change. I mean, on the prices issue, if you open the market, there is more competition. You already have here now something that did not exist before. You have low-cost companies, for instance, for example, just traveling. If you are traveling, you can get cheaper flights now because you have low-cost company here. That means that if you open the market to competition, you can have better condition and better tariffs, and normally better quality of products as well, for that matter. So there's these elements. If you look at the experience of the countries that joined the European Union, yes, the salaries have been growing in these countries, and today living standards on average of the population in the European Union has been growing. We have 10 countries that joined in 2004, all these countries including Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and so on and so forth. If you compare the situation they were before joining the EU and joining today, it's clear that the living standards have been rising extremely rapidly over the years. Now, as I said, something goes too fast. So I mean, you cannot just live on credit. So you have to manage this process very carefully as well. So the growth will not happen overnight, but it's a progressive trend, and this trend should take place here as well.
Dobar dan, zovem se Miloš Zdravković, dolazim iz Leskovca. Imam jedno pitanje za vas. Šta mislite o genski modifikovanoj hrani? Zašto ljudi prave uopšte tu hranu i zašto otruju stanovništvo?
Well, that's a difficult issue because in terms of international trade, we have agreements in the framework of trade which says that we cannot restrict our markets to certain products in that context. Now, the EU has a legislation on GMO, meaning that we can accept GMOs, but they have to have a proper traceability and proper marking for the products. When you are a consumer, if you buy a product, you need to know, is this genetically modified products or not. So this is something which is imposed, and certain of our member states have very restrictive applications. So some of them are prohibiting completely the capacity to grow products on their own territory in this context. If you import them, you have to have them marked. So you have the choice. As a consumer, you can say, I want to eat or not modified food, or I don't. Now, I don't think you can have a black and white position on this issue, honestly speaking, because we all know that GMOs can also bring benefits. If certain products can be grown in certain parts of Africa, other places, with the help of that is good. Of course, what we don't want is that one company or a few companies, major companies, are just making profit out of this process. And we want to be sure on the other thing, which is very important, is to make sure that there is enough research done on the effect of this GMO food if you consume them. There are many studies which are denouncing sometimes side effects of GMO, so we need obviously to have proper assessment of the risks linked to GMO food in this respect. And as I said before, each country in the European Union can have its own decision on this matter.
Imamo li sljedeće pitanje?
Dobar dan, ja sam Petar Petrović i dolazim iz Lebanske gimnazije. Želeo bih da vas pitam kakav će uticaj imati rat između Severne Koreje i Amerike na Evropsku uniju?
No, I missed the translation. I hope we avoid it. No, well, I think that's where we have to play a role as European Union, as we do it in Mali today, as we can do it in North Korea, or as we could do it in Iran today to avoid the proliferation of nuclear weapons. So we have to use all our persuasive capacities. We can take sanctions, commercial sanctions, for instance, as EU against countries which are waging war or wrong attitudes on this issue. So this is what we need to do. This is what it's so important. The case you mentioned, I hope will not happen. I think everybody, including Russia, including China, including the EU, of course, and the US, Japan, and others have said, don't go down this avenue. I hope North Korea will just make gesticulation there and calm down there. They should be taking much more care about their own population, because their population is living at the edge of poverty. They have a population which is starving in terms of food. So instead of investing the money in building a military complex and other rockets and missiles, they should better take care of their own population.
Your Excellence, I'm Miljana Stanković from Medical School Leskovac, and I would like to ask you what are advantages and disadvantages of European Union's educational system? Thank you.
Can you repeat? Sorry, the
what are advantages and disadvantages of European Union's educational system?
Ah, okay. Well, the systems are not unified completely in the European Union. Each country has actually retains a number of competence in forming its own education system. So there's no, what we have harmonized on the other side is the higher education system. So we have the Bologna process in place, which allows you to make the 3+2 system of education, and which allows you to travel to the other countries and get specialization in other countries of Europe and get these famous certificates that we have for that matter. So I think it's very good, because if you go and study abroad, you always learn more. You learn more. First, you learn about the culture where you go, learn about language where you go, and you learn not only that, but you sometimes learn about different approaches to problems. The French will look at theses, antitheses. The British will be more pragmatic, maybe in the assessments. The Italians will be more creative, maybe on certain issues. So each time you confront yourself with a different culture, with a different education system, it's a very big enrichment for yourself. I'm working 25 years in the European Union, per se, in European institutions, and it's extremely interesting to have, I don't know, a Spanish director general, Italian director, a head of unit which is German, whatever, because each of them may look at the problem from a different perspective and a different angle. And that's what makes it so rich. When we always say united in diversity, and diversity is our richness, it's a reality, in a sense that culturally you can look at problems from different angles, depending on your background and culture in this respect. So I think I can only invite you, if you have the opportunity, to complete your studies and to go and travel and get specializations in other countries. It will be very good for you, I'm sure.
Evo, već 90 minuta traje ova naša debata. Vidim da i vas polako strpljenje onako izdaje, već su to 2 cela časa. Pa ajmo još posljednja 2 pitanja i da se zahvalimo gospodinu Dežeru na njegovom vremenu. Ajmo još 2 pitanja.
Pitanja, ali?
Dobar dan, ja sam Kristina Domanović, dolazim iz Rače i htjela sam da vam postavim pitanje apropo onoga što ste pričali u prvom govoru o homoseksualnosti, odnosno htjela sam da postavim pitanje s obzirom na to da u posljednje 3,5 godine su se u Srbiji održale 2 uspešne parade i oni su propagirale borbu protiv nasilja u stvari. Većina naše stanovništva naše države to nije shvatila tako kako je trebalo, pa sam htjela da pitam da li ulazak u Evropsku uniju može da nam donese nešto povodom toga.
I hope before you join the European Union, we will have benefits on this issue. No, I mean, seriously, I think, thank you for asking the question. Because I was in schools in Užice a few weeks ago, and I raised the question in the class. I was having a chat with the students, and I said, what do you think about this issue? Homosexuality or pride parade, whatever. And nobody wanted to say anything. It was strange. Usually young people, they speak, but I feel a kind of malaise. People didn't feel comfortable to say anything about the subject. And then the teacher took the floor, and the teacher said to me, Mr. Deger, in the classroom we don't discuss politics. And I looked at her and said, but I'm not discussing politics. I'm discussing an issue of society. It's an issue of society, of living together. You are asking for freedom. One of the freedoms, basic freedom, is of course freedom of sexual orientations. And this is not a disease, by the way. Because sometimes I hear that also by some saying, this is disease. If it was a disease, what do you take? You take pills to heal it? Which pills are efficient there? Be serious on this issue. It's a reality. It's a reality of life, and this has to be recognized, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anybody can live with this situation. It's just a question of an acceptance within the society. And unfortunately, when we had these terrible events in 2010 in Belgrade, you remember you had these 5,000 hooligans that came and said, we're going to fight and destroy everything. And they destroyed the city for 1 million damages, put on fire a number of places and hurt policemen and everything. This is not the answer. This is obviously not the answer. The violence is never the answer to this issue. But what needs to be done is to have a debate in the society. And I'm trying for the last 3 years to try to stimulate debates in the societies. And it's extremely difficult because the schools do not want to discuss this. Media, you hardly have a discussion on this. The only thing that interests media is when we are in October, 3 days before the parade, and then you have all kinds of rhetoric, inflammatory going into the... This is not the issue. The issue is simply to accept that in the society, certain people may have different feelings, different orientations, and that is it. And there's nothing difficult or nothing wrong with that, and we have to accept that. I was pleased, nevertheless, I must say, recently there was a court case in Novi Sad where the justice sentenced the company for applying discrimination because they had sacked a person that was declared its homosexuality. So I hope that slowly this issue will change. It will not change overnight, but you can change it also, because you can change it in your schools. You can discuss that in your own attitudes with your friends. How do you deal with that? You just have to say, yes, I accept, he's my friend. He can be homosexual, he can be heterosexual, but he's my friend. Why does it change if he has one orientation or the other orientation? Shouldn't change anything in your feeling towards this person. But this is an issue. I mentioned also the issue of women violence. You know that, unfortunately, last year in Serbia, there were 30 women that were killed by their husband or by their friends, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying it's not happening in the EU. In France, last year there were 56, I think, women that were killed by their companion. But at least there is a discussion on how to resolve and how to react to these issues. This is very important because you can do something about it. You can change the mentalities. You can change the attitude of policemen, change the attitude of the prosecution. But you have to ask for these changes to take place. So you are the young generations, you have to ask for these changes to take place.
I da vidimo ko će imati čast da postavi posljednje pitanje na današnjoj debati.
Dobar dan, moje ime je Marija, dolazim iz Vršca. Imam pitanje vezano za stipendiju što se tiče srednjih škola, odličnih učenika. Danas u Srbiji postoji propisano pravilo da stipendije mogu dobiti samo učenici čiji roditelji imaju 0% primanja, što je nemoguće da sa 0% primanja školuju svoju decu. Tako da imam pitanje da li će se, što se tiče stipendije, nešto promeniti ulaskom u Evropsku uniju?
I'm afraid to have to say no, it will not change, because it's clear that ideally, of course, everybody would like to be paid to go to university, to be paid to be in school and everything. but there's a limit to what the budget of the state can afford to do. This is why also in the European Union we have requirements in terms of resources. So in France, in Germany, in the UK, everywhere, the same system applies, meaning if the student has no revenues and his parents cannot afford to pay for him, it's normal. Everybody should have education and should have access to education. So there shouldn't be any limits. So these students will benefit from the support. But the ones that have revenues, they have to pay for their children. I have 4 children, and it cost me a fortune actually to send them to university in the UK. One is in Marseille. The other ones are still at school, but one will start tomorrow. It's very costly for me as well to send them, but I'm the parent. I have to make this effort for them. That's all, and that's the case everywhere in every family.
Vidim da imate još puno pitanja. Naravno, sva ta pitanja možete poslati ili mailom ili telefonom u EO Info centar i dobit ćete odgovore. Evo još jedno pitanje za kraj, za jednu devojku.
Još jedna pitanja.
I profesora, od profesora, pardon. Još jedno pitanje za kraj.
Dobar dan, uvažena ekscelencijo. Drago mi je zadovoljstvo. Dušan Blagojević, gimnazija iz Lebana. Više bih zapravo hteo da konstatujem nego da pitam. Našim učenicima i građanima Srbije se zapravo priča o Kosovu i koliko to bilo imaginarno nama svima ta Kosovo, ta je priča u prvom planu, a drugi plan je ono o čemu ste vi pričali. A to je da ljudi shvate da ovde nije normalno da ministar izjavi kako je dozvoljeno da se kraducka i da bi to u Evropskoj uniji verovatno bilo sankcionisano, ili da jedna ministarka sa timom ljudi vrši 3 godine neuspelu reformu pravosudnog sistema na teret svih ljudi ovde koji plaćaju taj porez. Da nije normalno da učenici pohađaju školu, a da nemaju stolice na kojima će da sede ili klupe ili najelementarnije uslove, kao što je slučaj, na primjer, sa našom školom. A da pritom političari plaćaju neke večere ili neke posete, izlete već na hiljade i hiljade, da je zapravo taj sistem vrednosti nije prihvaćen u Evropi i da ono što mi treba da menjamo, upravo da menjamo taj jedan stav, da nije normalno da se krade, da se laže, da se zabušava, da nije dobro, da nije normalno da se žena ošamari povremeno, jer to se toleriše kao normalno, kao i dete i ostalo, a nažalost mi sve to gledamo kao normalno, ali zato Kosovo gledamo kao nenormalno i mislim da je to najveći problem kod nas. Hvala vam.
Thank you.
Eto, vaš profesor je preuzeo ovu završnu reč, ja ne znam šta bi sada dodao, sem da vam kažem... Ali profesor, jeste? A nije profesor, rekli su mi da je profesor. Jeste. I jeste ili nije? Govorio si kao da si profesor, tako čestitam ti. Sve u svemu, hvala vam još jednom što ste prisustvovali ovoj debati. Zahvaljujem se gospodinu Dežeru na njegovom vremenu. Thank you for your time. A ja vas pozivam, vidjeli ste ispred, svaka škola ima svoj sto, tamo vas čeka osveženje i neka hrana, malo da se osvežimo i još malo družimo. Još jednom vam hvala puno.